2 weeks ago on the stable SMP, I finally defeated the best player on the server, Fragments, after only 8,000 failed attempts, which made me the the strongest player on the stable SMP. However, this put a target on my back, and after being confronted and challenged to a rematch to the death, I decided that my only option was to ignore my problems and fake my death on the stable SMP. The first step to faking my death was gaslighting, convincing my friend Snowball-chan that I had died. And because everyone on the server is such a snitch, I knew word of my death would spread across the server in no time. But convincing him would be easier said than done. Wait, let me get this straight. You tripped on a berry bush and died? Yeah. Didn't you have a totem? There were 2 berry bushes. Seems about right. Wait, if you're dead, how are you talking to me? This was bad. If I couldn't convince Snowball-chan that I had died, my plan would be ruined. I'm not. You're just hallucinating. Fair enough. And now that I faked my death on the stable SMP, I decided to infiltrate my enemy's book club. So I spent some time traveling to the location they sent me and tried to come up with a believable story along the way. Alright, I'm here. You said you needed me to... Oh! What's wrong? I was just admiring the... it doesn't matter. What did you say your name was again? Oh, my name. Wemmbu. Wemmbu? Oh, no, of course not. Wemmbu with 2 O's, like boo. Despite how incredible my disguise was, I got the feeling that one of the players, Penguin X2, was still suspicious of me. This is not good, because Penguin is no ordinary Minecraft player. He has completed multiple crosswords in his life, is subscribed to Blockade, and even almost solved a Rubik's Cube one time, making him one of the smartest players in all of Minecraft. Meaning if he found out my identity, he'd probably blackmail me into giving him all my ad revenue. And just when I thought Penguin was about to confront me, we were interrupted by an anonymous player here to kill all 4 of us. This player was wearing the same armor as me, was invisible, and even had a mace of their own, which is a very rare sight on the server ever since a group of players removed every vault in the world. The player revealed that they had been impersonating me across the server, and now they wanted to kill and ban me from the stable SMP. And when I turned around to ask the other players for help, I realized that I had been talking to armor stands this entire time, and that the book club I thought I had joined had been a trap created by the anonymous player to kill and ban me from the server. And now I had no choice but to fight this player alone. And what's worse is that I hadn't prepared for a fight, meaning I had limited resources and I'd have to defeat this player quickly or risk getting banned from the stable SMP. But luckily, as the only relevant member of the stable SMP, I have plot armor, literally, and was able to easily defeat this invisible player. However, as soon as I popped their totem, they were teleported away with an ender pearl stasis chamber, meaning their identity was still a mystery. However, there was still one clue left. A piece of paper the anonymous player had dropped during the fight with a set of coordinates on it. And because this is the stable SMP, I decided to go to those specific coordinates. However, when I arrived, there was something strange. All that was there was a sign with the text saying, "Don't dig down." And because this is likely a trap, I decided not to follow what the sign said, and dug down anyway. However, that's when I came to the shocking realization that this was all a trap, when I fell 50 blocks into a TNT launcher. Luckily my plot armor protected me from the blast, but when I fell down there I accidentally placed my water bucket, and now I had nothing in my inventory to clutch with, meaning when I fell down my totem popped, clearing my potion effects and revealing my identity to the world. But luckily nobody was around to see it happen and my identity remained a secret. Wait. For weeks, rumors have been spreading across the stable SMP that one of the strongest players on the entire server, Wemmbu, had died. But after being unable to find a single player who had actually seen his death message, I had a strong feeling that something else was going on. But up until now, all of that had just been a theory. A game theory! one real and totally functional ender pearl cannon that uses some very complicated and definitely real redstone technology to fire ender pearls millions of blocks, which would save me a lot of time traveling. However, for plot convenient reasons, nobody knows the exact location of the abandoned civilization, meaning I'd have to travel the rest of the way myself. And after some flying, I came across exactly what I was looking for, a Minecraft empire known as the Nearland civilization. So I decided to see if they knew which way I should travel to reach my destination. And luckily they promised to tell me the location of the civilization I was looking for in exchange for my friend Theobald the Nerd, who arrived not long after me. Alright, now can you help me out? I'm trying to find the abandoned civilization, although I've heard that nobody knows where it is.
The abandoned one, it's over in that direction. You could've just read the sign, you know.
So I headed in the direction the sign said. However, after traveling for over 300,000 blocks, the civilization was nowhere in sight. And that's when I realized those players that I was talking to had been invisible, meaning they could have been anyone. My enemies, Wembu's allies, or even Wemmbu himself trying to throw me off the trail. Luckily, there was another civilization not far from where I was, known as the Visible Civilization, home to a group of players known as the Visible Mafia. If any member of the Visible Mafia ever get the invisibility effect, they will be teleported into the void with a definitely functional stasis chamber and banned from the Stable SMP. And while this makes them pretty easy to fight, they're the only players I can be sure are not Wemmbu or his allies in disguise. So I headed straight there to question them about the location of the abandoned civilization. Their leader, Cabbage K, explained that a player had appeared not long ago and threatened to launch an orbital strike cannon at their base if they didn't give him the coordinates of the abandoned civilization. This had to be Wemmbu, passing through here on the way to the abandoned civilization. This was bad. While it did show me that I was on the right track, it would make convincing them to tell me the information I needed very difficult. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't just kill you. You see, I am the smartest player in all of Minecraft. Alright buddy, that's enough monologue. Here, take this plot convenient compass that we have for no particular reason. It'll lead you to the abandoned civilization. And after a few more days of traveling, I finally arrived at the abandoned civilization. And I was shocked. I realized that the civilization wasn't abandoned at all, and was just called that because the people living there didn't have any friends. The entire civilization was surrounded by an impenetrable, an obsidian wall filled with lava and wardens and chunk bands. And while typically this wouldn't be much of an issue for me, earlier in the day a rogue background character had stolen my shulker box full of escape kit, meaning that the only way to get into the civilization was through the front door, which was being guarded by a player in full netherite armor. Fighting this player was out of the question, but luckily, as the self-proclaimed smartest player on the server, I knew exactly what to do. I knew I couldn't beat this player, but I didn't have to, because I had a plan. And now that I've defeated the guard, I could finally look for Wemmbu. However, I would need to be stealthy to not risk being discovered. And after searching around for a few minutes, I found exactly what I was looking for. It was Wemmbu. Finally, this was my chance to confront him. However, that's when I realized that Wemmbu is one of the best players on the entire Stable SMP. And if I tried to fight him alone, I would probably die. So I decided to call an old friend of mine to help, one of the strongest players on the entire Stable SMP, Fragments, who is known as the Mortal Demon due to all the insane stunts he's pulled off, like killing an entire group of players with only his fist, after accidentally placing a sword into a decorated pot, leaving him with nothing left to fight with, other than the axe in his hopper and a second netherite door. Regardless, with his help, this fight would become a lot more possible, and we might even be able to— Wait. My name is Fragments, and on the Stable SMP, I'm known as the Mortal Demon. I was just playing on the Stable SMP when I suddenly got attacked by a group of chipmunks, a group of players in iron armor.
Well, if it isn't Fragments.
Bro, what do you want?
We're gonna kill you.
This was bad. I was only 17,000 times more geared than these players. Most players would die here, but luckily, I'm not most players. I'm the Mortal Demon.
You're so trash. Wait, no! No! The pain, the agony. Ah, the pain, the agony.
And after banning all these players from the stable SMP, I got a message from a player known as Penguin X2. He informed me that he had discovered what had happened to one of the most powerful players on the stable SMP, my rival, Wemmbu. After defeating me in a fight using an orbital strike cannon a few weeks ago, Wemmbu had mysteriously disappeared, and rumors began spreading across the server that he had died. But considering Wemmbu is the only relevant member of the stable SMP, I knew this couldn't be true. So I spent weeks searching for him with no luck. However, Penguin claimed to have tracked him down to a Minecraft civilization millions of blocks from spawn, which seemed unlikely, but with no other leads to what had happened to Wemmbu, I had no choice but to trust Penguin. So I began to head to the coordinates Penguin had sent me. However, I realized that they were millions of blocks from spawn, and if I wanted to reach Wemmbu while he was still plot relevant, I'd have to find a faster way to get there. Luckily, I remembered exactly what I needed. Say it with me. The plot convenient ender pearl cannon! This machine uses some very legitimate and functional redstone technology to launch ender pearls millions of blocks whenever we don't feel like making a 6-hour travel montage. So I inputted the coordinates Penguin had sent me, and within seconds I had traveled millions of blocks. And there it was, just as Penguin had said, a Minecraft civilization millions of blocks from spawn. But when I arrived, I quickly realized that something was wrong. Penguin had agreed to meet me outside the civilization. However, when I arrived, he was nowhere to be seen, and nobody else was either. I messaged Penguin to tell him that I'd arrived, but received no response. Something was wrong. Penguin is a self-proclaimed smartest player on the stable SMP, meaning he never forgets anything, ever. But just when I was about to leave, Penguin finally messaged me back, telling me to meet him at a set of coordinates a few hundred blocks into the civilization. This was strange, but with no other leads, I headed to the coordinates he had sent me. However, as soon as I arrived, I knew my first instincts had been right. Something was very wrong. Penguin wasn't giving a dramatic monologue about how he's the smartest player on the server, but I quickly realized I had bigger problems to deal with.
Well, as you can see, I kidnapped Penguin and forced him to bring you here. And yes, you still have no idea who—
You're Wemmbu.
What? Was it really that obvious?
Yeah, it kinda was, to be honest.
Alright, fine.
You got me. And now— Wait, never mind, put the voice changer back on. We're all voiced by the same person, this is getting confusing.
Now we fight. If you win, I let Penguin go. But if I win, I become the mortal demon and can leak your IP address on Twitter.
That's not how that works. Bro, I thought we agreed to stretch this on for at least another 5 videos for the ad revenue before we actually fight.
Have fun making a solo player versus crippling dead after I beat you. You're so bad. I'm beating you and I only have 47 orbital strike cannons.
Imagine cheating in a Minecraft fight with a literal nuke.
Imagine having friends. Oh no, that's not good.
Bro, just give up. You know you couldn't beat me if this was a fair fight.
This is a fair fight.
Bro, you have an orbital strike cannon, a mace, plot armor, and an inflated ego. And somehow you're still losing.
Oh, that's not good. Orbital strike cannon fire!
What? Bro, are you serious? Bro, just face it. They don't call me the mortal demon for nothing.
You think this is over? I will have my revenge. No matter how long it takes, I will have my— What the? Down, back on characters. What was I saying again? Oh yeah, if I can't get revenge alone, maybe I'll have to call in someone deadlier.
No, you don't mean—
Yes, maybe you can beat me, but can you beat the deadly? Will you stop that? I'm trying to do a monologue.
I guess I'll leave you to it then. You're not much of a threat with that gear anyway.